All righty, welcome everybody back to part 2. If somebody can give me a shout out on the sidebar and let me know that audio is working, I would appreciate that before we start. That would be helpful. Kels, or anybody out there? Just let me know if you can hear me. All righty. All right, I'm going to get moving. We've got a lot to do. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for validating that on the sidebar. All righty, we have got a lot of information today. I am so thankful for anybody that is back on board. We will be taking some questions along the sidebar, so if you have them, please feel free to type them in. However, Kelsey's going to be recording those, and she is going to be putting those together, and I will do those in a follow-up on our blog like we did last time so that I can kind of keep the flow to the information tonight. And if I have time at the end, we might address a few of those that you have tonight, but do please feel free to jump on that sidebar and ask questions, but please note that I will get back to you on the follow-up as we did last time. So anybody that is new to this, thank you for coming on board. First and foremost, a very big, large thank you to the Vibe Tribe people. Again, not a commercial, but if you're not a Vibe Tribe member and you want to be, check it out on my website because we do live webcasts every single solitary month for the Vibe group. And these extra COVID/Ascension ones have been open to the public because I think this is more information that needs to get out there. But that said, I think that there's a lot of advantage to coming online and being part of a membership. And it's only $33 a month for a sub. And you get, 6 different modules, including a live webcast every single solitary month. So not a stand-up commercial to start right out of the gate, but we can definitely bring you online with Vibe Tribe at any time. So check it out if that resonates for you. That said, also, anything that I say tonight, if it resonates for you, great. If it doesn't resonate, please, please, please just put it in the back of your head, toss it out completely, ponder it later, whatever works for you, because I am not here to change anyone's truth. I am only here to offer perspective, information, and ideas, and hopefully it resonates for you. We started out with part 1 on the 31st, I believe, 3/31. That information was tough. I'm going to say right out of the gate, it was tough. There was a lot of grid information. There was a lot of how consciousness works. There was a lot of really deep stuff in there. And I highly encourage, if you choose, to listen to it more than once, especially if it didn't necessarily make sense to you, because a lot of this information is new for a lot of people. And I want you to understand that sometimes it takes 2 and 3 and 4 times to sink inside of our human body brain and be able to make some sense. But even more so, it goes to our subconscious and it starts to awaken things and it starts to ignite things that we don't necessarily think that we even know. So after you participate in this one, it may indeed even be cool to go back and listen to the first one again and then buddy this one up again later, because it's supposed to be flowing together to give you more information. But I will be referring back to the first video without getting into it because I have a lot of other new information I want to cover tonight. Before I started today, I asked just for a moment of silence so that I could get maybe some indicator of what I am doing tonight. And I love pulling cards. And I pulled a Sacred Rebel card because the Vibe Tribe group this month, by the way, I used the Sacred Rebel deck, the one I use in Peru. And it's an Elena Fairchild deck, and it's super cool. And I thought this just was so appropriate for tonight. I'm going to put it up really close, and I'm going to let you look at the card while I read. It's called Shock of the New. It says, there is a stirring at the deepest level within you. Something new will break through, and the process of this birth may be a shock to you. The old way is on its way out. You are being invited, dragged, nurtured, and coerced into the new. This can be a strangely beautiful and somewhat disturbing liberation of what is foreign stepping into your life. You may have to fly by the seat of your pants, so to speak, as you experiment with these new ways to be. Life will show you the way. And that was so, I thought, pertinent for this because a lot of this information is new to a lot of people listening, and even to those people that have maybe been a Vibe Tribe member or have been doing your Ascension work all along. This is new stuff every single solitary day. It's new. And I also have been getting a lot of new information. I've been on massive downloading and overloading and all kinds of things for the last couple of weeks. And thank the Lord, I have a great team of friends and family and loved ones and energy practitioners that have been helping me stay even grounded during this time. And this is big stuff. And I'm going to say some things tonight that are going to make you go, what the hell is she even talking about? Possibly. And if that's the case and you're not comfortable with it, you can always turn off the video, or you can save it for later, or you can sit there and let it do what that card said. Let it be a little uncomfortable and or maybe even startling or disturbing, because this is what happens when we ignite to the new. And we are definitely going through something, which is the new rebirth. And I'm going to get into that pretty deep tonight. And I think this is so exciting and so thrilling. And it's just packaged so oddly, but it's amazing. First out of the gate here, I want to say, as an individual, I've been dealing with this stuff for a really long time. And I at no time ever want to sound arrogant like I'm cooler or better, because trust me, it's not cooler or better to know some of this stuff sometimes. It's actually difficult. I said jokingly the other night, but not so jokingly, I'm coming out of the closet, but I'm coming out of the alien closet. I'm like trying very hard right now to own the fact that I have known this stuff since birth, that I came out of, the womb knowing things differently than my 5 other siblings. And that isn't, again, to any way, shape, or form say I'm better. It means that I was dubbed the weird one, really. And I always felt like the weird one. And so I'm speaking this louder these days because I think with this ascension process being bumped up by COVID, we are finding a lot of people are finding who they truly are in soul. And some of that is bringing forward more and more what we call star seeds. And star seeds are those that possibly have had more lifetimes in another being or another body or another solar system or galaxy or dimension, other than being this meat and bone body on Earth. And I am one of those. And I have always known I was one of those. And only over the last couple of years, I have been letting more and more of that out and revealing more and more of that. Well, through this process that I've been doing lately, it's been coming very fast and furious. And I'm just here to tell you, as one star seed to possibly more listening, this is not an easy thing to do. This coming into your own self for a star seed is not easy to do during this time. We may have a little bit better handle on what's happening for the ascension, but we don't necessarily have it easy to remember who we are either. Those that are not starseed or resonating towards this at all, don't think that you're getting off the hook. You're also going through many, many different versions of self, many, many different versions of being who you are in a different package also. That's what this ascension is about, is coming back to a lot of truths. So I oftentimes am doing work that I don't talk about. I do my client work, and all of you know that because a lot of you are clients. I do a lot of teaching, I do a lot of presenting, but I don't really necessarily share my so-called soul work with a whole lot of people until recently. And I do have a very small yet powerful group of friends and family that hold that space for me. Many of them are on the sidebar I see tonight. And I thank them from the bottom of my heart because, because it hasn't been easy. And I'm gonna get back. When this happens, this isn't like, oh, I'm sad and I'm falling apart. This is called frequency. And see, there I'm back. This is called a frequency. And this is happening to not just starseeds. This is happening to all of us. This is part of the ascension process. And these are symptoms. And they're kicking the ass of us starseeds just as much as they're kicking yours. And it's a frequency of love that goes through like that. And we find ourselves crying oftentimes or losing it. And this is emotional. And I want all of you, if you choose to go back, if you're struggling with any of this stuff, go back to my blog, the initial blog, on what this ascension process is. It's still valid. In fact, it's more valid than ever. I went through all of the levels of ascension on my blog, one after another, including all of the ascension symptoms. And this is crazy stuff that's happening to us. And we starseeds are getting our asses kicked just as much as anybody else, because this love quotient is not only happening from those that are supporting my work, as I just said, but the love quotient is coming from even with the love of home. And that is a very important thing for us to know is very, very real, like right now. It's very emotional. It can cause a lot of upheaval in our emotions. Again, we don't have to be starseeds to be feeling this. So we're going to talk a lot about what we can do with this meat body tonight. This is something that has been very private for me. I have done intergalactic work for, I don't even know now, maybe 10 years. For those of you, I'm not going to go into this huge Suzanne bio, but for those of you that do know my story, I mean, I was very, very connected to the alien realm when I was very, very small, put most of it away. But at age 8, I was told very bluntly that I had a mission to do. And I was very clear that I had a mission. And it was said in those terms, you are here to complete a mission. And I'm like, got it. And I was like 8, and I would stare in the mirror and go, then why am I wearing this weird meat suit thing? And I didn't know what that mission was. And they said it would come online when it was ready. Well, it is time, and it was time about 10, 12 years ago. Since then, I've been accelerating my work, and this is my private work, and I'm finally coming out of the closet and sharing it a little because it has a lot to do with the last actual video and the plea for some help on some work that I did, which many of you heard the call and provided some support, which I really value and appreciate. What I do is I go into the grid systems. I go into the architecture of actual reality itself. I am not going to go into how that happens because it's on version 1. It's on part 1, how the grids work. But I wanted to let you know a little deeper with some artwork on what that means. For whatever reason, Suzanne's soul self knows how to do geometric work and math work in the system of the grids. And I, like I said on the last tape, can't even like balance a checkbook. I can't add, I got nothing. So when I see work, it looks like things like this. I'm going to just run some artwork by you. I see this on crack. I see this on speed motion beyond belief. But what I'm actually doing in that circuitry is changing the circuits. My brain and my telepathic self moves the circuitry through it. And it's so important for us to know it is changing the structure of our reality out there. Through circuitry, geometrics, and architecture, we actually see a lot of this circuitry. You can go back to the first tape now and actually envision when I'm making grids that this is the kind of stuff that's flying through it on warp speed. So this is very, very important for us to know that this is real. So when I had a call out recently for a lot of you to please hold some space on 444 portal, that was a lot of the information that I was doing, a lot of restructuring, a lot of aligning. And this kind of work is very, very real, and it does change our entire creational reality. Now, does that mean Suzanne's the savior of the world and she's saving the universe? Probably not so much, because I'm not the only person doing that out there, I'm quite sure. But this is very, very important to know. This is about an awakening. This is about what we call the Great Awakening. This is COVID, but this is Ascension. And this is what I really want to get across this time, because we are coming to a place where just before we went online tonight, the president was online on live newscast saying, okay, we're rolling out this next phase. We're going to move into phase 1, 2, and 3 to get America back online. And I want you to understand, America coming back online does not in any way, shape, or form change this ascension process. And I want to be very, very clear out there that this is our chance. COVID was a booster, and I'm going to explain how throughout this entire time. This was a booster for the Great Awakening. This is the ascension process itself. This is what is happening, and it is happening, and a lot of this work is done in the actual architecture of the grids. Even though it's done, that doesn't mean game over, because we are all integral in this. And this is why I'm really coming down hard on the personal body and responsibility tonight, because architects can only do so much in those grid patterns. And it's us human bodies that need to anchor this and land the plane on this. This allows us to take back our personal sovereignty. You know, that was a word back when that I'm like, what the hell is even that word? I had to like look it up, and I'm not kidding. And this is our freedom. This is our ownership. This is our birthright. And this was explained a little bit in the first audio, or the first video. I'm just going to keep saying video, I guess, the first part 1. And it has to do with reclamation of all of the bodies of existence and bringing us back fully to source energy. So why are we even doing this? Why is this thing happening? What is this Ascension thing all about? And I have Ascension written everywhere on my material. So please go back and study it on your own if you choose to. I even have an Ascension ebook on my website, totally for free. The basis of it is that we are living in an unbelievably amazing time. You, like I said last time, have come in a meat body to experience this. This is a waking up to remember who we are. This is going through a spiritual liberation of not only you as a human being, but us as a planet, a humanity, and a universe itself. This is a coming together that we awaken all at once. So this is very difficult, however, because it's been given to us in a really shitty package called COVID. And even if we're so-called coming out of it and we're rolling out these next phases, I want to be very clear that this process of ascension is still going to kick your butt if you are sitting in what is called 3D. So I explained the dimensions on my last one. I explained the levels of dimensions. If you're confused about that, please go back and listen to that, because we have a micro and a macro relationship in our dimensions or planes of existence or realities. And I drew it on the board. We have our human body, and then we have all of creation. And they match as a macro, huge thing, and a micro version us thing. And that's pretty clear on the first video. So I want you to go back in that and really take a peek at that, because this 3D reality that we're living in right now is going to not be here any longer. And I don't want everybody to freak out about that. That doesn't mean the world's coming to an end. I'm going to explain how this works pretty well, because most people right now are getting offered the ability to, well, all people, by the way, are offered the ability to jump from 3 to 5D. That's what this ascension process is about. It doesn't mean we go anywhere. It means that we put on a different lens and we look through life differently. But the hard part is this COVID thing really kind of put so many people on track, and yet at the same time threw so many people off the track, because we are on programming overload right now. We are being like seriously hammered on fear right now. And I cannot tell you how many family, friends, and especially clients are going through this in a fear state, except for those that have been doing a lot of spiritual working and journey working and personal healing working. And that's not to say, oh, we're cooler or better, but they've done the work to get the fear out of their actual meat body. And this is what makes the difference. Why are we collecting so much fear? The human body, it has what we call chakras. And I went into that pretty well in the first one. But we have 7 chakras: our root chakra, our sacral, our solar plexus, and then our heart chakra, our throat chakra, our third eye chakra, and our crown chakra. These chakras are what are known as our fuel destination points. These are how we connect to source. This is our gasoline for our vehicle, okay? So the creational reality we've lived in for very, very long now as a human, we are in our own vehicle, we have our own gas coming in, and we're supposed to have our own tank. I'm going to talk further in this tape about empathing. What we do and what we've been doing for most all of humanity is we have been taking fuel from one another. We've been empathing it. We've been stealing it. We've been vampiring it. And I might have gone over this in the first one, but I'm going to go over it one more time because it sets the stage for 3 versus 5D. What that means is I will draw in energy from all of my God sources and from Mother Earth, wherever. And I'm supposed to be fueling myself and holding that in my own gas tank so my vehicle can run smoothly, just like a car. Got great gas, got good parts, got a good tank, flying down the road. Sadly, most humans don't have a gas tank worth a damn because we've stressed ourselves, anxietied ourselves, and everything to death. So we've got a cracked egg going on. So this so-called source that comes in runs right out and all out of the ground, right in, right out of the ground. And everybody else's crap is coming in. This is our depletion of our field and why we are so miserable right now, because all I'm doing is picking up everybody else's fear and I'm running on all those old fear things. And what humans have done forever then, and I drew this before, I believe, is we'll go to the next human throughout my day and I will steal their gas. If my tank is broken, I'm going to steal their gas. I'm going to budge into their tank. I'm going to take their gas, and then they are broken and I'm broken. And right in here is called energy transference. This is an empathing technique. That means I'm going to get a real good hit. I'm going to have a little bit of gas. I'm going to feel great. And then I feel like crap because it's not my gas to take. The ways that we do this can be by control, by overpowering, by manipulation, but it can also be like, oh my God, I'm so worried about you. So think of yourselves during COVID. How much have you been empathing? Everybody else that's sat out there, all of my friends and family. Oh my goodness, I can't believe so-and-so can't get to their loved one in a nursing home. Oh, I'm so worried about my mom and dad can't get to the grocery store. And on and on and on. We have been doing this like crazy. What did COVID actually offer us in a physical way? It offered us this. It offered us what we call separation and isolation via the stay at home. Stay at home didn't necessarily mean stay at home in your brick and mortar house. Stay at home meant get back in your house. It meant get back to your house and get back to your 6 feet of separation, which, by the way, is how far I want to be away from your aura so that I can maintain mine. This isolation or this cocooning that we have been gifted via stay-at-home processing and 6 feet apart is allowing us to actually get back into our 3D world, some semblance of my gas tank, some semblance of I am in charge of my fuel, some semblance of I don't have to empath and take all of your stuff. This is very, very, very important for us because this is a huge part of what's keeping us in this 3D world of fear. So when we're empathing, we are taking on everybody's stuff. That is different than having empathy. Empathy means I can feel for you, I can understand, I can align to that, but I do not take your energy. I do not take your pain. I do not try to change you. I do not try to do it for you. We have been working in this fuel fuel, for eons and eons, because somewhere along the line, we were told that that makes us wonderful. And we need to understand this is what makes us susceptible to all kinds of negative programming, all kinds of stuff going on out there. There is a large part of the first video that talked about the theys and the programming. The theys and the programming are very real. There is a lot of great stuff out there. The other thing that COVID did for us and stuck us inside of our house offered us a separation to be able to investigate things more. There is multitudes of information on the internet and or everything under the sun, but please discern and be very careful on what resonates for you too, what feels good. And how do we know it feels good? If I'm in my own source, if I'm in my own space, I can kind of discern, yeah, you know what, that sounds like a bunch of crap and I really don't want that, or that sounds too scary for me right now. Or geez, you know what, that kind of felt like I want to do that. So there's a lot of good videos out there that are talking about this big battle of the theys, and we're going to get into that in just a smidge. But this is basically in a big scope about changing timelines. When somebody that's an architect, like a Suzanne, goes in and does that work, that geometric work, that circuitry work in the so-called universe out there, in the big, great space of God knows where that is, even beyond when we die, this changes all the mechanics. It moves like clock gears, and everything has a potentiality for a different ending. The first video, I talked a lot about a video game and having different realities. This is what we're happening right now. This is what we're getting to. We are having the concept of I'm either going to pick this reality or this reality. Now, within each of these, the 3 and the 5, we still have multidimensionality realities, meaning I still as an individual, no matter which one I'm in, sees everything differently because I'm an individual. But the reality of the 2 timelines that are being pushed right now is I am going to stay in 3D, working in programmed fear, or I am going to see this next timeline in the awakened timeline of 5D. So right now, this process that we're going through of Ascension, we are choosing and creating the ultimate timeline that we will be existing in. This is the absolute sovereignty and freedom we have. We are the co-creators of this. There isn't a God on a cloud that's going, hey, this is happening to you. We are in cooperation with that God source, this energetic God source that we had come of and are part of, and we are co-creating this right now. So when this COVID is happening, this is the first steps to understanding this co-creation. In my opinion, we need to see this as a gift from the universe. We need to see this in so many ways, that this is laying the playing field all the way across the board. Best Buy closing is no longer any big multi-bazillion dollar company any different than losing everything than mom and pop nail salon down the way. This is a leveling of the playing field in so many ways. So when we're sitting here feeling attacked and victimized that I can't open my doors, or I can't go to work, or I don't have my money flowing into my bank account as a proprietor, remember, nobody has any running through their bank account pretty much right now as a proprietor. It's leveling that playing field. And this is really, really important to know, because then we can start to work with understanding and compassion and stop victimizing ourselves. Using this compassion is really, really important, because what we normally do right now is like, I don't care, you owe me that money as my business and I don't have any money, so now I want your money. And it's all that fear precipitating karmic negativity return. We don't want to work like that right now. It's understanding, having compassion, and having patience. It's a level playing field. So doing the work to see COVID as a 3D opportunity to shift from 5, what does that even mean? That sounds ridiculous, right? Well, it doesn't. It isn't. What this means is it's giving us the opportunity as an individual being to do our own spiritual work, to actually go into all of our own container, into our own consciousness, into our own, almost like our computer programming, and see what's going on, because this is what's going to help you choose, am I going to stay in 3D or am I going to move to 5D? Because this inner work is what is happening to you regardless. Whether you want to jump on board and do the work and make that change, awesome. Whether you don't want to do that and keep your head in the sand, it's still going to chomp away at you, because this world will be, and already is, by the way, moving into 5D. It is not 100% anchored. We fluctuate back and forth, and I'll explain that in a second, but it is happening. And you really do want to be one of those people. And that doesn't mean, oh, Suzanne's sitting here threatening that if I'm not in 5D, I'm going to fall over dead or disappear or go somewhere, or my family's going to go somewhere. That isn't quite what it means. It is a plane of reality. It is how we are actually perceiving things. So what that actually means is something like this. If I'm in 3D, and I, for example, go and try to get a new job, and I am told, no, you don't get that job. And I think I'm a loser, and I think I'm not good enough. And I think, oh my God, I suck. And everything goes back to triggers of I'm not good enough. 5D says, I wasn't supposed to have that job. I wasn't supposed to get that. Something good will come to me. I believe I said something along those lines in the last video. So let's even go bigger. Wow, we're all stuck in this. Our whole entire world is going to hell. Our economy is going to hell. We're all victims. No, this is a creational reality for us to break down all of the systems that are broken. We have had our heads in the sand for many, many, many years on all the systems that are broken, because we don't like to be uncomfortable, and we don't like that shock of new. We don't like that stuff. It's easier for us to be told what to do. So we are having right now an opportunity to release our dark energy, our dark fear. And dark doesn't always have to be bad, but in this case, I'm talking dark meaning fear. So going into your fears with creativity, that's what this time is about. We are trying really hard right now to find ways on how to creatively be with one another. We got house parties, we got Zooms, we're dancing in the streets, we're doing all kinds of crazy stuff, ringing bells at 8 o'clock across the world. This is awesome, people, because why? We are finally being cocooned enough to almost be forced by the universe to find creativity again. God forbid we would be doing that if we were so damn busy working from 8 to 5 or 8 to 10 and doing it again and again and again. We have been on hamster wheels our entire life. So this is the opportunity, once again, of finding a way to go through your dark night of the soul. Now, many clients within the last couple of weeks that I've been talking with, or people even working with or chatting with, they think their whole world is falling apart. You know what? It's supposed to in some regards. It's metaphoric. Yes, my relationship will fall apart as much as my job, as much as my health, as much as my bank account, because all of it is the same thing. When we go through these dark nights, we will lose the feeling of everything because it's a metaphoric death. Same thing on the big scale. The entire country has to metaphorically die for us to rebuild. And some of these processes that we're going through right now are tearing apart institutions like the World Health Organization and the CDC is being examined and looked at because we've just taken it for granted. My mom, I love her to pieces. I don't know if she's on here tonight, said, well, I always thought the World Health Organization was just wonderful because that's the World Health Organization. And I'm like, yep, that's what happens. A lot of us just assume this COVID thing, people, has given us the opportunity and the time and the gift of doing our homework, the time and the gift of going in and finding out what truth resonates for me, myself. So this is very, very important because this is a micro thing happening, meaning I lost my income, I got bad relationships, I'm stuck in the house with the kids, to all of us have lost our income. All of us are stuck in the house with the kids. All of us are having this reality. So this micro macro, again, levels this playing field. We want to understand that this has been a false matrix that we have been living in for a very long time. There has been an insert program. It's like that virus on your computer. So a lot of the work, again, that I do as an architect is I go in on a mass basis and remove that false programming. Pisses off a lot of off-planet entities and energies. I know that sounds a little crazy, but I can absolutely tell you the negative theys out there aren't happy. But this is moving with so much momentum and so much love and so much power because of unity, of things like this 444 portal work and 444 world meditations that a lot of you were supporting. This momentum that we have had now as a unified force is unstoppable, pretty much, unless what? We all go back to normal as soon as the president lets us get back to work. And so this is my big plea to you is please, 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 when we roll out this so-called let's get back to our economy and let's get back to normal, I say, why the hell would you want to be normal? Because we, by the way, weren't normal in the first place. This is about opening our eyes right now and having conversation. This is about coming out of the closet for you as well. Maybe you're not coming out of the closet as an alien, but this is coming out of the closet to open up your eyeballs and start looking at things without absolutely being dragged down a rabbit hole of fear. There is tons and tons and tons of information out there besides this that you can look at, and do not necessarily take it with spoon-fed and believe it's all truth, because there's a lot of what we would call paltering out there, meaning a little bit of truth and a lot of lies. So you want to use this body, and you want to be able to use your discernment process, and you want to be able to use your inner and open heart to be able to go, you know what, I believe this and I don't believe that. However, I want you, if you choose, to push the envelope on what could possibly really be real out there, because there's a lot of stuff that we have been hidden from and we want to be hidden from it because we're scared as a human race to know the atrocities that have been happening right under our noses. So this fear of not really going forward and embracing the rage of finding out this horror really keeps us only re-triggering our original wounds of not being safe in the first place. We come in this DNA body with a wound of originality that says, I'm not safe because I'm not connected. And this is real. So this will re-trigger that until you do that work to say, no, I am safe. I am okay. And this is what, again, isolation, being in your home, being with your true families, reaching out in loving ways, and doing your own dark night work is offering you the chance to do. So if these grids are changing and this fear is still out there, what the hell are we even supposed to do about all this? I wanted to get more specific with that this time. I wanted to say our bodies and the planet are key. And we talked about this a little bit last time. This is a tri-system of universe, meaning the electrical energies of the Father Sky, all of humanity here, and a planet itself called Mother Earth. This is an alignment of all of those. This is an alignment of all of those architectural structures so that we can, for the first time, align to our Mother, Father, God energies and know that it isn't a separation of source. And as we do this, we start to remember who we are. And this is why it's so important, in my opinion, to stretch, to let your body listen to stuff that you think is bullshit on the internet or in a movie or a documentary. Oh, that guy's an idiot. She's really stupid. Oh my God, they're talking about aliens. That's dumb. I'm here to tell you, and I am out of the closet. I talk to them all the time. I have since I was a kid. There is help out there. They are there. Do they land on our planet that we can see them? No. Is it even a they that has a body? Not necessarily, but it is a consciousness of love energy that is benevolent and there for us. And just as much, there is non-benevolent energies out there that don't want us to remember who we are. We have, as a whole entire existence, been pretty duped and pretty lied to. And there's some really good information out there right now on the reality of the actual history of this planet. And if you choose to go find that, great. We'll even upload a couple suggested videos on this after with Kelsey when we do the blog. And listen to those if you choose, with an open heart and an open mind, and let your body be a little disturbed, and let your body ponder, and let your body go, huh. But if it does register too much fear, walk away from it, because you might not be ready for it. I even had to walk away from something the other night, and I've been doing this for a really long time. So these bodies are the key to it. These bodies are what we are taking back. First, before we take back our planet, we have to take back our bodies. And these bodies are so important, because this COVID thing we've been told is all about immune systems. The immune system, this is about our immunity also. This is about our immune systems being shut down. This is about shutting everything down and going inward. Our job right now is to go inward, to clean out my body of its fake news. Again, a micro macro situation. We're worried about fake news out here. I'm telling you, worry about fake news in here. This fake news in here comes from our belief systems. And these are things that we don't necessarily think about. We just go on our merry way with belief systems that we've been handed. Again, not giving any blame to parents or family or loved ones or anybody, because we can get handed anything, but it's us that retains it, feeds it, and grows it and believes it. So these belief systems are residing in our first two chakras, which is way down at the bottom, which is our root chakra and our crotch area, which, by the way, is supposed to be connecting us to this world planetary existence called Mother Earth and Gaia. And our sacral, which is in our belly, which is the relationship to that actual planet and relationship to other humans. So this is where the work needs to be done, in my opinion, is the human meat sack, before you can even start to really get into your spiritual journey to go up here and really understand things like off planet and things that are happening out here, because we got work to do down here on the foundation of who we are. So this COVID thing has given us the chance to hit the pause button, to go inward, to find the root, no pun here, but absolute pun here, the root of our beliefs in our root chakra, because this is where it all starts. What makes me scared? What makes me scared? Look at this for the last week. What are you scared about? You're scared about no money. You're scared about no job. You're scared about not having something. You're scared about all kinds of things. And this is triggered over and over and over again. We're scared of our health. We're scared we're going to get sick. We're scared we're going to die. This is the programming that has been happening to us since day one. Our sovereignty and our freedom has been manipulated and controlled since day one, because this is how they keep us in the place of non-sovereignty and freedom. And the theys, again, we'll go into later, are really integral in this. And this is why we need to do our own work, starting with our own, not the they, big they, my they, my they. What do I believe? What was I told? This is important for me to go inside and remember, what did moms and dads and siblings and grandmas and grandpas say? And it isn't all verbal. It's mostly nonverbal. What did I experience? How do I feel about myself? Was I heard? Was I seen? Am I valued? Do I not do this? Do I should do this? All of those things are what are the opportunity to go into and examine in this quiet time of being inside. It's the metaphor, being inside during COVID. The hard part is that it is so difficult to go there because people are scared of the scared of the scared. And the Vibe Tribe information that I'm putting out, by the way, tomorrow or the next day, is very much along these lines for you members. It is going into the fear with creativity. It is going into the fear and actually owning the fact that I get to, not I have to or I should or I can't, I get to go into this fear and I get to release it. And we're going to talk about that towards the end here a little bit practically and how we can do this. Because basically when we have these fears, we feel we have no freedom. We feel we're not in charge of this stuff. We feel that I can't do this. And I'm telling you, we can, and we are. And a lot of this has to do with our first and foremost changing our minds about this fact that we've been free. it's very, very important for us to see our job changing here. To start to understand some of the things I said in the first video is that you signed up for a meat and bone body that is supposed to be the guardian of this planet. And we don't even do our job. Again, being home, I'm not driving around. Emissions aren't everywhere. For the first time, did you guys see the tape where the Himalayas were shown? For the first time in 34 years in India, they could actually see the mountainscape because the clean air. Now, does this mean we all have to stay home and never work again? Not necessarily, but this is really, really, really important for us to know. There is movement of love through all of this work. There's movement of oneness, there's forgiveness, there's compassion, there's everybody coming together in this thing to save our planet as much as humanity. And this makes our jobs change, our real job, our job for why we're here as a human body. And I can guarantee you, for most of you that haven't necessarily pondered a whole lot of this or done a ton of this work, if somebody came up to you out of the blue sitting at the lunch table at work and said, hey, you know, what's your sole purpose? You'd go, what the hell are you even talking about? What is that? What are you talking about? And it should be a really easy answer. It should be a really easy answer. It should be something along the lines that I get to be here because I chose to be here. I chose to be here as a guardian of this planet and a co-creator of humanity and existence overall. I'm helping create this world. Why? Why are you asking? Aren't you? I mean, wouldn't that be a cool thing to answer? So we are so much a part of so many bigger things. The cool thing about COVID, again, is that we're all getting this pause button. We're getting this breath. Mother Earth needed so much air. She needed so much breath. And so did we. We needed to get out of each other's sandboxes and get out of each other's shit because we're taking everybody's stuff every day, all day, and I can't breathe. I'm too much. It's too much. I can't do it. And it's been happening to every single piece of our existence. And this wonderful, beautiful stay-at-home order has given us the permission to actually breathe. And in that gift, our actual planetary system has been able to breathe. Has anybody even walked outside and noticed the frequency difference? The way that the animals are acting even more excited and more open and out there? I mean, I think it's fascinating, but we have to be able to see this virus as an opportunity. It's not that we are getting shoved inside in fear. We are gifted to go inside, to go inside. So freedom and creativity is how we do this. Be mindful and deliberate on how you're processing all of this information. Know that this isn't something that we want to be over, because today when the president is going, we're all back to business, it's going back to normal. Part of me went, oh God, no, don't go back to normal. We never want to go back to normal because normal was asleep. We do want our economy to open up, but please let's look at this as do not go back to normal, because normal was not our normal. Normal was the program. It's so much like the Truman Show. You know, I watched a clip on it the other day. We should all go back and watch that. When Jim Carrey was starting to figure it out, the clip where he's like, holy crap, something's going on here. It's a great clip. It's rolling around YouTube right now. It's like, wow, he's starting to figure out that this isn't real. This isn't normal. And I think I would love for everybody to just start to go, what is real? What isn't real? What is that? Be mindful and deliberate in how you are processing every bit of information on a daily basis from now on. The key is to take what truly resonates for you and toss the rest. Even in this tape, even in this video, if it resonates, great. If it doesn't, toss it. But do work to add in what is uniquely yours to go further. I want to learn more about this. I don't care about that right now. I'm on this mission. I don't care about that mission. It's really make it unique and your own, because we're all going to put these puzzle pieces together and it's all going to come to be a whole different reality picture when we get there. So stay powerful in your own beingness. And the minute that you start to get scared or anxious or angry, shift. And how do we do that? Well, how do we release fear from our actual body? There's a million ways. This is what I did on the Vibe Tribe thing this time, and you'll get it next week, I believe. Use creativity, dance, drum, go hit a pillow, go outside and take a walk, stay in your own space, do your own work, go paint, go, there's a million ways to find that creative motion and movement. The whole point of it is to shift your paradigm, Once you've gone in and found the anchor of that fear and befriended it and made friends with it, we need to shift it. We need to get it out of our body. We need to get out the dis-ease of our body in order to get the disease not even in the arena to play with, right? We want to clean out this human meat body. So a lot of people even pray. So what is prayer? Prayer is a frequency. Prayer is putting into that grid pattern more of the same. When we talked about those grids in that first video, go look at it again, because we talked about the law of attraction. When like finds like, finds like, finds like, finds like. That's how we create in those grid patterns more of the same, more of the same. Prayer, even now, is not that I'm praying for this to get over. I'm praying that somebody gets better. I'm praying somebody doesn't die. That's all taking everybody else's everything. What we want to do is we want to do prayer on behalf of joy, beauty, freedom. Leave it open-ended, because there are people that will choose to leave planet during this time, and we are not responsible for taking that away from them. You know, somebody asked recently, what is it like to be one of those people that's dying through this time period? And what if they're confused? And what if they don't understand? And what if they're angry and pissed? Because this particular person, by the way, can hear people from the other side of the veil, or stuck in between veils. And she is finding some of them pissed. The reason why they're pissed, guys, is because no one's teaching this stuff. We have a right to die. We choose to die from a higher perspective. When this Suzanne meat body will no longer be sitting here or walking this plane, it's because from a higher perspective, I chose. And so my Suzanne body in 3D needs to understand that from the perspective of personal sovereignty and choice. From a higher perspective, I will always choose. This lower perspective might not understand that. But if we can get that in alignment right now and have people understand, we will always be taken care of. Even if I die in confusion, there will be benevolent help. Even if I die in anger, there will be benevolent help. The people that are leaving planet in confusion and not understanding about an afterlife will have benevolent help. Not necessarily immediately, but they will have benevolent help, because it's part of the process. So what can we do in prayer? We can pray for people to find what I quote as their highest and best good. Their highest and best good. Because again, it is not up to me to determine what is your highest and best good, or God forbid, your highest self's highest and best good. It is up to this relationship, and I get to stand out of the way. So these are important things for us to understand right now when we are dealing with things like, oh my God, I'm so empathing, all of those people that are dying without their family members. No, this does not put in a good vibe to the collective. We need to put into the vibe to the collective loved ones, benevolence, help them and assist them. And we have faith that this is happening, period, cut it off, and I stay focused. So these are ways, even with prayer, that we can do our job on behalf of others with no agenda attached on my perception of what is their highest and best good. So when we're doing things like working with bowls, or we're drumming, or we're tuning, or we're toning, or we're dancing, this absolutely reshifts my physical meat body, as well as my emotional body and my mental body, to a different frequency. It takes me as a meat body to a different space and place. When I do that, I'm part of a bigger piece. And go back to that first video to understand collectiveness if you don't get this. When I shift, everybody has a potential to shift. This is why collective work is critical right now. Because if I'm pissed and I'm mad and I'm scared and I'm triggering and I'm falling for all that programming, going out into that grid pattern, offering all that crap to everybody else, and then more like finds like, and this is the mess we've been in for eons. So this is our opportunity to wake up and start to do some of these things that some people think are crazy and stupid and ridiculous, and you might still. Things like working with crystals, plant them in your garden. We planted crystals on that day when it was a unified actual prayer, because it amplified the ground. I talked about the crystal grid in the ground last video. Help the planet. Put them in your garden. Help your garden vibration. All of these efforts and intention help your mental and emotional and mostly spiritual field, which then affects your physical meat body field, to what we call raise our vibration. These things that we do for ourselves, it's about me, I'm going to do it for myself, are important. We need to come first. Why? Because it's service to self, which then reflects to service to others. This old paradigm of taking on everybody's stuff is old energy of empathing, and it does not work anymore in 5D. I am not allowed to take your energy. This is vampiric, and it's not acceptable. So if I think I'm helping you by worrying about you, I'm actually doing you a disservice and doing myself a disservice as well, which then alters that whole collective, doing it all a disservice. So we need to understand thoroughly that this law of attraction is very, very real. And we need to, in my opinion, also stand up and start making some declarations of sovereignty. Declarations of sovereignty. So what the hell am I talking about there? This is super important. Declarations of sovereignty have to do with things that are saying no. This is part of the work that I did in the grid pattern the other night. I was really finding a lot of things missing in the grid pattern. And it's funny because I actually found what was missing was rage. And I was talking a lot with my friends that support this work, and I kind of threw it by one of my kids. And I said, you know, in this so-called hologram of all the universes and all the embodiments of God and all the pieces out there, if you thought of all creational reality as a rung of a ladder, and I'm going to do this again. I did it on the other one, but I think I'm going to do it again for you here. This is really important to know that these planes of existence are the way that we get to our so-called God source. If we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to be really anal here. And then this is infinite God source. We're way down here as a little person. This is our humanity, our bubble. This is our earth, and this is our plant and animal. This is where we live. In this, we have all kinds of existences here. We have all, it's not showing up really great, sorry. We have all kinds of existences in these. We have humans, we have plants and animals, we have an earth. We have angelics, we have fairies, we have ascended masters, we have gods and goddesses, we have all kinds of alien help, we have all kinds of things. In this so-called ladder, we had some rungs missing, and one of those rungs was the gods and the goddesses. And I was told a couple years ago to actually go into the infrastructure and regenerate the gods and the goddesses. And I thought that was so interesting because I know that sounds a little crazy, but it's really a metaphor for the actual frequency of something for us to get to source. It's like trying to climb up the ladder, but this space is so big, I can't quite get to that God source because something was missing in here. And that something was a breakdown of that God source in a balanced way. God has no gender. God just is. And then God starts to become a gender of Mother God, Father God, and eventually Son God. That's the Trinity. And then that starts to break down into embodiments of God sources. And one of those very initial embodiments was the gods. And we might just think they're Marvel movies, but they're the gods. So what are the gods known for? The gods are known for some serious stuff. The gods are known for some serious destruction because we all watch Marvel, but they're also known for some incredible, beautiful love. They are the epitome of dualistic energies. They had just as much love and compassion as they had anger and rage. One of the interesting things that my guides were telling me is when they got taken out of this infrastructure, rage got taken out. So I was telling this to one of my kids, and he's like, "Oh, Jesus, Mom, do you really want to put gods back in? Have them come down like in the Marvel movies, destroy everything, rage everything, burn up everything?" That isn't exactly how it works. It's the frequency of rage that has been missing. And I think this is so interesting because I've been working with this a lot lately. We have been only made privy to a human level down here to that, what we would know as rage. Rage actually works with justice. And I want you to really hear this because this is so important. Right now, we feel everything is unjust. We feel victimized. We feel like things are never going to be figured out. Nothing's going to make sense. Nobody's going to get their just return, blah, blah. We forgot that way up here works with what we call the laws of the universe. And one of the laws of the universe has to do with justice. And this came through the gods and the goddesses. And it got lost down here and it turned into instead something we call anger. So now when we have love, our other fuel is fear. Anger is on top of fear. What does anger do? When we're humans right now, we're pissed. We're mad at the government. We're mad we don't have any freaking money. I'm mad at so-and-so because she did this and he did that. I'm mad because you haven't paid your bill, so I can't pay my bill. We're angry. And what does that do? That's going into our systems and rebooting anger. And this is not what we want to do. Anger and fuel of fear only causes more bad karma. This is really, really huge. Fear of fuel and anger and karma only wants resentment. And I want revenge. And I want to get back at you. And a crazy loop system of horribleness happens. Nothing ever comes to a justice. Whereas rage, and I don't mean rage like I'm going to go out and kill everybody. I'm saying find an enragement place inside of you of frequency to say, no, there will no longer ever have this happen. We will not stand for this. We as a universe, as a human race, as a human being, not tolerate this any longer. This is the tipping point that we are really at right now. If you allow yourself to open up your brain to some of this stuff that's flying around that you don't want to look at. For example, human trafficking. There's a video out there right now by Laura Eisenhower. She's awesome. She's the niece of Dwight D. Eisenhower. I like Ike. She's the granddaughter or great-granddaughter of him, I believe granddaughter. Metaphysical person, has great interviews out there, but she has one right now called The Message to the Dark Controllers. And she is literally enraged right now saying, no, this will not happen. And she talks a lot on there about we've been used as food for the dark forces. And a lot of people, when they hear that, they're going to go, I'm not going to listen to that. That's a bunch of shit. We're not food. That's dumb. We're not being eaten. Blood sacrifice isn't real. All that Satanism isn't real. Trust me, people, we want to open our eyes to these horrors and start to understand when we say food, it means a lot of different things. And mostly what it means is your DNA. Mostly what it means is your blood. Mostly what it means is your genetics. And think about this. What have we been doing as a human race for the last God knows how many years, handing off our DNA like it's candy, handing off our DNA like it's nobody's business. You know, those wonderful, lovely, hey, I bought you, the ancestry.com for your birthday. Great. What the hell do you think goes on with that vial that's this big when it takes this much to tell you your DNA? Where'd the other part of the vial go? We've been handing off our DNA like candy for years to all kinds of things that are genetically manipulating us. So it's about time we open up our eyeballs to the fact that there may indeed be some bad shit going on behind closed doors. There is another awesome, awesome, awesome video out there. Take it or leave it. Out of the Shadows. It's a documentary, brand new. It's on YouTube. And it is about Hollywood and how programmed we are. And it does bring up a lot of things like Pizzagate. Now, Pizzagate, a lot of people said, oh, that's stupid. I'm not going to do that. That's dumb, my family included. And I said, don't be so sure, because we have been manipulated and processed like sheep for years on all kinds of things, mostly right in front of our face. The reason why we want to get enraged, people, is we want to have that frequency within our body that absolutely says, no, I am no longer going to put up with this. I am not going to say this is acceptable by not paying attention to it. That's how the dark forces work. If it is right there in front of our face and it is right there blatantly, and yet we don't see it because we're not paying attention or we think it's dumb, that in a lot of cases is our approval, our stamp of approval, and our ability to go further. And this is everywhere in front of us, from our movies to our media to our products to everything that we do and see every day, all day. So this rage, this enragement, what I'm talking about is not going out onto the streets and lighting fires and kicking down doors. What it is finding that frequency within us that was very, very much about the gods, because what balances out justice that the gods knew is love. This is the difference. Zeus, the top man, was the justice god. He was the one in charge of the scales. The scales of justice have two things: the law of love and the law of cause and effect. And we are not understanding that we have not worked this cause and effect because we've been taking it into our own hands with resentment and anger, causing more karma, or we have ignored it because we're scared, therefore we're not working in compassion and love. We're not working for service for self, service for all. We are so completely micromanaged in this and only worried about me, I. These movements have started over the last couple of years. This ascension process has been working. These things like the actual Me Too projects are pieces. The uncovering the Vatican bullshit are pieces. But then what happens? Oh, just do that, get back to normal thing. And this is what I hope to God we don't do. Get that economy back up and running. I'm going to go back to work and do those 60 hours. This is when we go back to sleep, people, and we take that rage and we put it right back to anger, which then turns back to resentment, and that loop pattern keeps happening. So this process of this evolution of ascension makes some really great progress, and then we get taken down. So the universe gave us a really great opportunity this time to hit the pause button, and we're still in it. Hit that pause button big and hard so these people start to look at their own dark shit first. Start to look at your fear first, because if you still have fear in you, you are perfect and primed to be triggered. And you will go back to fear, which then wants anger, which then wants justice in a different way. I want revenge. I want resentment. I'm creating more karma versus true justice. And understanding what the gods knew, which is there is something called universal law. These are frequencies of actual law, law ability within the actual matrix. If we put in something and we all support that, universal law takes that and creates more of it. It's within this hologram. And we had a big lack in the hologram. We had a big missing piece because we didn't understand rage. So when a Suzanne goes back, and again, I'm not saving the universe, but kind of putting in the infrastructure. If I got that rung back in there in terms of, this is part of this ladder to our ascension, people, what is that in a different way? Do you see what that is? What is that? Yep, it's your DNA. This is the DNA of the whole entire creational universe. And we got taken out of our DNA. We got stuff taken out of our DNA in a macro way, which then affected us here. What I do is work with the architecture to put in frequencies of rage. It's our responsibility as a human being to bring it down to what does that mean as an actual DNA human person. My Suzanne ability to go into my DNA and readjust my missing parts on fear, missing parts on rage. I gotta move that over a little bit. Missing parts on what I'm missing within my DNA. This is what our individual work is on a micro way. If we put rage back in here in creational DNA, I can put it back in here. I don't want to be a maniac. I don't want to burn stores down. I want to find the ability to stand up for myself and for others and say no, and then throw it back to universe and cause and effect, knowing karmic return will happen. This is how we find compassion and forgiveness. We don't have to see all of the asses in our government go down and be in jail and be taken down and turn into like, let's make it the Epstein thing. Karmic return will come to those people, whether it's on this planet or not, trust me. And if we can only work to the extent of asking and praying and giving that frequency of karmic law and return on behalf of the highest and best for all involved, let go of it, versus obsessing every day on how pissed off we are at Trump and everybody in the administration and all the way down to everything in our life. We have been absolutely pummeled and programmed, and we believed in this bullshit for so long that we are the ones that are destroying ourselves with anger and fear. They're still winning. They're still puppeting. They're still programming. You're the one that's spoon-fed it, and you're believing in it because you don't have that enragement in a positive way to say no. So this is important for us as individuals to try to understand, how do I let some of this stuff go? How do we let some of this stuff go is something I alluded to in the first video. And one of the questions came back and asked for more information on it, which is the Akashic records. What the Akashic records are is every single one of us has a blueprint and a life story. It has reasons for being here. It's recorded in what we would call frequency. Again, we're all frequency and vibration and light. Whenever something happens in me, when I die, we go through the so-called tunnel, then see our life. That's because it is recorded in terms of energy. So this record of me goes up to what we would call a larger record. And I'm going to do it this way for you to actually see, because this is something tangible that you can do during COVID to make your life easier and ultimately make your death easier. This is part of the book that I wrote in terms of we are already dying. So we want to do this differently. When I'm down here as a human being and I'm a meat and bone body, I'm actually attached to my soul. This is my oversoul, my soul, and it has many, many, many incarnations, but only one of these incarnations is Suzanne. And when Suzanne dies in meat body form, this piece releases out of my body, the body goes away, and forever in this tentacle right here, I am Suzanne. in energy form with all of me, good, bad, and ugly, all experiences, all memories, all everything. It's all in there. And by the way, before I even came in, it was in there anyway. It was all in there. Now, does that mean my life is prescripted? No, all potentialities are in there. Again, we're going back to multiple planes of existence, multiple options, multiple everything. It's all driven with free will. So we are creating our lives at all times. But when I'm doing this work and I'm dying down here because of dis-ease and fear and sadness, all I do is take all that back with me. I take all that sadness and all that dis-ease with me. And then I go up to here and I go to what we would call in between lives. Here's heaven or in between lives, okay? Back to source energy. So when my meat body's gone, my soul goes back up here and it examines everything that I just did. And it starts to say, you know what? You might want to go back and do this differently. You might want to atone for that. You might want to try that again. You might want to do this, etc. And this creates my so-called incarnation because I haven't released most all of these things in fear. I go back and I do things again. That's not what we were supposed to have done as a human race. That's what we created. So this karmic loop pattern of bringing me down and down and down again has to do with because I never let stuff go. I die with my fear. And right now, there's tons of people dying with their fear. This related to that question on what do I do when somebody's fearful and already dead? We work in love and compassion and we send their fear back. We send everything back. Where are we sending it back to? We're sending it back here. So what does that mean? That means right now, send back to the big library, the Kosh, the big boy library, the main branch. Send back, what does it feel like? Not what does it think like? What does it feel like to be loss of freedom right now? What does it feel like to be terrified that I can't feed my children? What does it feel like to be so scared because I'm not with my loved ones? I don't want to hang on to that in my meat body. I want to put that back up here so that this meat body can do different work to find joy and put that into my pattern so that I can move through life with synchronicity and joy and love and passion. I can find new experiences and create wonder. I want to release that negativity, that feel, that knowing, that everything up here. Second reason why we want it up there, because if this is what it feels like, if this is what it feels like to be horribly controlled, no money, not have food for my children, then the next beings that are coming in and deciding things for creational reality overall have the information. They know the feel center. They understand the sadness. They will not let this happen again. And I want to bring this back to the planet. This is when we want to say, no, no more. We will not kill our animals. We will not kill our trees. We will not eat things filled with fear. We will not put poison in our body. We are killing ourselves and our planet. And this is what it feels like. So when we go upward and we say that, the next incarnations come down and say, we can do this differently because they have the knowledge. But see, we die with the fear, so nobody gets the knowledge. So this Akashic return is very, very, very important in terms of how I raise my vibration. So somebody else asked, how do I raise my vibration? This is it. We clear out this meat body of anything that's fearful. We let go of things in prayer. We don't empath and hang on to everybody else's fear. We have the faith that that other person is doing what their contract, their soul needs to do. If they're sick with COVID, they may indeed have come in to leave planet at this time, and COVID is their exit point. All those kinds of things are different ways for us to keep this meat body clean and send the sad and the fear back so that the next incarnations come in with the information. So this is the way to work the Akash. It's a form of prayer, if that makes better sense this time. So another question was, why is being an empath not a good thing? I thought it meant I care. No, this is not the same as care. A lot of people, for example, right now have loved ones that have Alzheimer's, or they are sick, or they are in a nursing home, or they are in a hospital. And they are killing themselves as the caregiver for those people, that they are going over there and they have to go over there and I need to go over there because their sense of worth and self is all tied into that. Now, that isn't saying that I don't go and visit and I don't do things. It's the vibrational frequency underneath that I'm empathing this messaging of have to, need to, should, and I'm taking all the pain of that person or that scenario that isn't mine. What we are not understanding is I can still go and I can visit, but I also still can maybe do something without going that day with no guilt attached. See, if I'm working on fear fuel, I'm gotta be there. I have to be there. I'm the one that's going to give them their pills, even though maybe the doctor's there or the nurse are there or the helper's there to give them the pills. I've got to be there. It's an ego thing that we attach ourselves to others in terms of being that one, being that hero, being that archetype of I'm going to save the day for everybody. What we don't understand by that is we're empathing everybody else's story. And we're not giving them their own fuel to do what it is that they came here to do. And quite possibly people, they may have came here to actually die. And we need to learn how to honor that without making that about us, because why we're mad that they're going to die is because I'm going to be alone. Why we're mad that they're going to die is because I'm scared of death, et cetera, et cetera. So this whole entire process of ascension is starting to help us understand, get out of each other's sandbox, get out of each other's house, get out of each other's aura. So stay at home is offering us this ability to practice our separation, which then ultimately gives us oneness. Because if I can indeed find a really good, loving vibe of separation, I fill my own sandbox, my own aura, my own everything with love. Love is going to transfer to that person in the hospital. Love is going to say, I already love you and I don't have to be there. Love automatically is going to tell my grandmother or my partner that I'm with you. I'm not with you, but I'm with you. We're missing the gifts of this COVID once again. And God forbid if we go back to normal, we're going to jump on that hamster wheel and we're going to miss all of these efforts that have been brought forward for this acceleration of ascension. So another question was, feminine energy is strong in ways masculine is not. We all have feminine and masculine energy, no matter what sex we are. So feminine energy is strong in ways masculine is not. As we move toward reclaiming and aligning this feminine energy, how are those clearly tied to the masculine going to behave or react, especially in those positions of power? So that was a really great question. So she's saying a lot of us carry masculine energy. If we're having this feminine come in, what does that do? Well, hopefully this is happening on purpose, because the whole alignment to all creational reality, that whole big architecture that I told you I work in, is all of it. We are balancing Father, Mother, God together. We are putting female, male together. We are marrying that together. And see, we think that male is male and female is female, but the reality is we're all one. When this new female energy comes in, this shifts the actual male energy that we have known for eons, which is not divine masculine, it's male energy. So this is part of the ascension process, and we're already seeing the change. We've seen the breakdown. This is where compassion and cooperation and feel comes in, which turns male energy, that was all female energy, compassion, forgiveness, cooperation. That turns the male masculine energy into a divine frequency of, instead of power, I'm going to tell you what to do, patriarchal top down, it turns it into divine masculine, which is more like, I am going to be service to all. I'm running my kingdom on behalf of all of you. I do have leadership, but it's on behalf of all of you. It's not service to self, it's service to all. So this shifts that. So this will be happening in everybody, because no matter if we hold a male frequency or female frequency, this adjustment is happening throughout our entire bodies. So again, literally important to go in and start to say, what are my beliefs? What did moms and dads teach me? What was the energy in my household? Was it okay to be female? What did female mean? Was that weak? Was that vulnerable? What did male mean? Was that overcompensating? Was that demanding? Was that work? All of those kinds of inner processes are what we are being asked to clean out of ourselves during this dark night of everything. And this will indeed give you that opportunity to have a better balance of all of the divine frequencies. For those who are not willing to make the shift or don't know they need to shift to 5D, will they continue to be carried along? And at what point do they need to shift? That's a really good question, because again, I want to make this very clear. The 3D, 5D is not a place. There isn't going to be a planetary, like, oh, we all jumped from the 3D world on planet Earth to some nirvana place floating in the cosmos. It is a perception of reality, and it is happening right now. It happens all day long. This is something as you individually can play with in the next days. Be in a situation with somebody and notice, am I in 5D or am I in 3D? Because if I'm in 3D, I am going to be fear-based. I'm going to see this as hard. I'm listening to the news. I'm watching this. Oh my God, now they're putting down more mandates. Oh my God, we're even being more victimized. Oh my God, now we can't do anything. Oh my God, I'm never going to have any money. Blah, blah, blah. That's 3D. In the same room can be somebody watching the same exact newscast going, oh my goodness, isn't this interesting? This is giving me more time and space to find out who I am. Nothing is different about the scenario. It is the lenses that the two different people are looking through that is different, one being 3, one being 5. So what happens eventually is more and more people, as they start to ascend, start to hold that frequency. Their bodies are changing, becoming more, like I talked about in the first video, crystalline, meaning more light-filled, meaning more loving, holding less dis-ease, which then turns to disease. These light-filled bodies will be navigating life differently, and eventually these negative-based thought forms will turn from dis-ease into disease, ultimately taking that meat body to a place of what we would call death in meat body form and leaving planet. So it will be a process of elimination per choice. And that isn't to scare anybody, because we're already doing it and we've been doing it all along here. This is what the ascension process is about. This is what the Great Awakening has been about. But more and more people, thank God, are getting a slap in the face and they're having the fast track learning. And that's a beautiful, wonderful thing, because there's been a lot of light workers working at this shit for a really long time on behalf of everybody. Not saying we're better. We've just been doing a lot of different work that has been offering your boat to float. And now it's time to be able to say, okay, I'm getting it. I'm having the courage to open my eyeballs. I am seeing the programming. I am standing up for the first time and saying, hell no, my enrage is personal, and I'm not going to go burn house down or blow up buildings. I'm going to be enraged enough to make justice and change, because I am holding personal sovereignty. So this is what happens. So eventually that will call the masses, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's not going to happen by next year. It's the process of elimination. Because why? Because we get to choose, we get to choose, we get to choose. And we already have been choosing, and many have been choosing to stay asleep. And you know what? That's okay. Because if you leave planet asleep, you will go back up here and you'll learn everything you were sad and scared about. And you'll come right back down here in a different form again, with a different set of rules and a different set of instructions, and you're going to be encountering this all over again. So I figured, hey, what the hell? Let's learn this lesson now collectively, and let's disclose a lot of this horror that's going on, and let's bring this forward and not keep our eyes shut to everything that could maybe be going on that we don't really want to think or talk about. So why do we want to think and talk about it? We want to put that into the patterns. We want to make this stuff not scary. And we don't want to talk about it in fear. We want to talk about it in empowerment. We want to be open. We don't want to be angry, because angry fuels them. That's that food that gal was talking about. When she says, you've been feeding off of us forever, they're feeding off of our fear. Fear is like a drug for them. And boy, have we been filling their bellies with it. So this is important for us to know that food doesn't necessarily mean cannibalism, but in some cases it may. So look into that as well. Any guidance for light workers and for humanity? Do your own work. Trust that this work is going to shift the macro hologram. We are in a holographic universe, whether you want to understand that or believe that or not. And if you don't want to go there, that's fine. But I highly encourage you to expand your brain a little bit, because consciousness is the only thing that there really is in each and every one of us, which then creates a collective consciousness, which then creates a collective reality. So I'm going to say that again. You are only here listening to this or not because you're conscious. This is coming through you in your own individualized lens of ears and eyes and emotions and body, because you're here and conscious. You are an individual consciousness. So your creational reality is created through consciousness. All of our consciousnesses thread together and create grid patterns. I drew that in the first video. Go back and look at it if you need to. Within that grid pattern creates spin factors of things like I showed you with this artwork and circuitry that makes our reality. All of our realities are holographic. This is an awesome thing, and it's a really dangerous thing. Why? Because those realities can be programmed. Those realities are just like you sitting in front of your silly little programming, gaming, and I get killed, and now I'm going to go back and I'm going to get a new tool, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to reprogram that. I'm going to make this different. That's what's happening out here all the time by us and by others. We are in charge of our own programming if we're aware of it. We are in charge of our own vehicle if we're aware of it. We're also in charge of the enragement to say, no more. And this is the awakening. No more. We will not put up for whatever it is that you choose to not stand for. And a lot of this stuff is coming to light right now, but until we open our eyes to it and not go back to what we would call normal, then this is not going to change. I am going to draw, just because you might not have remembered a whole lot of the matrix. I'm not going to go into a ton of it because you can go back and listen. But the way that this works is every single solitary one of us, and this is a very just dummied down version, but it's the easiest way to present it. If this is me, and I have a thought pattern, and I have another thought pattern, and then I have an emotion that creates 3 more emotions and throws out 4 more thoughts, I create what is known as a blueprint or a grid pattern. So me as an individual is creating my reality with my thoughts and my emotions every day, all day. And I said a couple of things before on the first video on this. We need to be aware of this because those laws of universe that I talked about, the very most beautiful one that works in our advantage and not our advantage at the same time is the law of attraction. It says what you really, really want, you get. What you really, really don't want, you get. And trust me, this is happening every day, all day for us. So, oh my God, I'm so fat. I can't believe I'm this fat. I got to lose weight. I got to lose weight. I can't fit my jeans. I hate this. So all you're doing is putting in this thought pattern of fat. Even though your little head wants to lose weight, by saying, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, I can't stand how fat I am, I can't do this, all I'm getting is more fat. So what does the law of attraction bring me? More fat. Because all it hears is fat. So what we want to understand by the law of attraction is I don't want to put any of that out. I want to put out what I want, not what I don't. So instead of putting out fat or any of that, what I want to put out instead is I want ease and grace in my clothes. I want health and wellness. I want to feel my clothes feeling really loose on me. I remember what it felt like to run up that hill. So we're putting in what we want because then what does the law of attraction bring us? It's what we want, not what we don't. This is so difficult because we don't stay in line with the law of attraction on a daily basis as an individual blueprint. Every day, all day, I'm sitting in my house. I don't have my stimulus check. I see my bank balance at 0. I'm right in the crapper. Everything's going to hell. Oh my God, 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 oh my God. So all I do is get, oh my God, more of fear and angst and anger, which eventually, by the way, is going to take a hit on my meat body. This meat body is going to find dis-ease in my throat or in my lower back or in my belly, or my legs are going to give out, or I'm going to have all kinds of symptoms because dis-ease is disease. And eventually this is how we die, with negativity. Now, if every single one of us is doing this in our own little grid pattern, what happens? That grid pattern, your grid pattern, my grid pattern creates what we call the collective grid pattern. So each one of us absolutely 100% changes the world. And that's a pretty big responsibility, and yet it's really not. And nobody believes that. Oh, I'm just one little person, wipe your leg. I can't change the world. Actually, you do. You do it every second of every day. You change the world every second of every day in this collective because every single one of us is creating what we call the collective universe, the grid pattern. So now let's go even further with the theys. Who are the theys? Let's get back to that one, because the theys that are really our problem child right now can be all kinds of things. The theys can be our government. The theys can be big pharma. The theys can be the ones that are making a disease so we have a vaccination. The theys can be education, banking. It can be everything and everything, because the theys are, whether we want to believe it or not, controlled by a very small percentage of our entire world population, and probably off planet as well, because that's how this works. And you can take it or leave it in that regard. You can study as much as you want to or not in terms of the actual conspiracy theories, but there is the theys that have every ability to create this collective grid pattern. And how do they do that? They do it in multiple ways. What they do is they insert right here in the collective programming. So I'm going to put in programming. How do I do that? How can I do that? How can I do that? And what, by the way, does that do? Well, if it goes into the collective programming, how does it get into me? Well, because it's in the collective and I'm part of it and you're part of it and you're part of it. And then if we start to believe it, this is big pharma, you're going to die, COVID's going to kill you, you need to take this, you need to do that, blah, blah. It's a messaging. Messaging can come in forms of frequency, by the way. It's all scientific, it's AI. It's in our phones, it's in our TV. They're listening to us right now on this computer, whether you want to believe it or not. We are in Star Wars and we are in 007 James Bond movies, people. This is real. Go again, watch Out of the Shadows and start to understand this is serious shit that's been here since the 30s and 40s. And we're ignorant if we don't think it has been. So yes, they have the ability to program every single solitary thing. If it's in the grid pattern here, it's in the grid pattern here. Unless I take sovereignty and freedom and clean my Suzanne grid pattern. If my Suzanne grid pattern does not hold a like finds like, it doesn't affect me. If my Suzanne grid pattern does not hold, I'm not good enough and I'm not well, or I'm going to get sick, it can't find me. This is the stealth bomber, people. This is the tool. This staying in your own sandbox and quit empathing everybody else's shit and fear is the way you are going to make it into this 5D and help create a different world. Help create the new earth, because then this has no fuel. It gets cut off and it gets cut off and it gets cut off. And what happens when all of its fuel is cut off? It dies. Then what happens additionally is, if we're doing our work, we're actually doing the Akashic work we just talked about a minute ago. And here's Mr. or Miss Prayer. And I'm going to put love bubbles and heart and wonder and joy up into the grid pattern. I'm going to do my work to fill this grid pattern. I'm going to be the one to save me in the world just by praying, just by being, just by enjoying, just by actually finding the wonder and the awe and the magic of being. It is so simple, we can't even believe it. It is so easy, none of us do it, because we'd much rather be pissing and moaning about how hard and horrible everything is. So when we find these joy factors and purposefully share it by prayer and release and talking about it and giving it away with no condition attached, because there's the kicker, I can't give it with the wondering, oh, did she like that? Did she notice that? Because that's empathing and that's conditional. So when we fill this grid pattern, they don't have a chance. So now let's go bigger to the architectural grid pattern where Suzanne has been working for many, many years. And again, you don't have to understand this, but this pattern keeps going and going and going and going. Part of this gets really crazy, and this is when we turn into the Marvel movies and the Star Wars. Part of this story, whether how much you choose to dig or not, goes all the way back. This is where we've been lied to. This is where the actual programming begins. This is where what we call inverted matrices and inverted programming has been. And I'm not going to get into a lot of this because then your head will go, what the hell is she talking about? But there's been a lot of dark AI forces working from planet and off planet to implant grid systems up here, which then filter here, which then filter here, which then, by the way, I have to draw one more and it's at the bottom. So I'm going to draw it over here, pretend it's underneath, which is Mother Earth. Mother Earth has her own grid pattern. So she'd be underneath. So this hierarchy from source energy, God up here, universal, multi-universal, collective consciousness, humanity, and planet are all in alignment. It's an overall grid pattern. It's like laying file after file after file on top of each other, and they all need to make sense. And they haven't made sense because every single file is corrupt. So architectural grid workers go in and they clean it and they change it. And I don't know how I know how to do it. I just do. So, okay, there it went again. This is a tad embarrassing to be a human because it comes flying through. And this is so important because it's a heightening of frequency. And you're way down here and you get to be a part of it. You get to say no it doesn't get to come all the way in. And the more that we say no to this bullshit stuff that we're in as a personal sovereignty, all of these lines of communications are cut. And then people that are fixing the matrix up here are gifting you the entrance to more benevolent love. And it's real and it's happening. And that's what keeps happening to my voice, because I have been downloading these benevolent beings for the last probably 4 weeks, and it's taken a real toll on my body. It's kicking my ass, to tell you the truth. And it's great, but it's hard and it's horrible and it's love and it's difficult because we don't know how to receive that much love. We don't know how to take it. And it's important. It's frequency and it's light and it's vibration and it's ours. It's our birthright. We have been lied to, and this is our chance to align with this. So this is important, and it's an opening. It's alignment to true God source. And if you still want to believe God is the story that you've heard, and there's a guy in a cloud, and that's all fine and dandy, because you know what? That's still a frequency of truth, and that's still a frequency of can you guys tell me, is there something on the screen, or am I just seeing that? Am I okay on the screen, or do you have something showing? I'm trying to close this message. Can you hang on just a second there? There we go. Sorry. Don't know how to navigate that little thing. It keeps popping up telling me I'm rounding down in a bit. But anyway, if you are the one that has the God is the guy in a cloud thing, and that's fine. I'm not here to change anybody's vision of God, but to me, God is a frequency. God is, it's an everlasting frequency of love. And even if you have a different version of it and you're doing release and you're doing prayer, it's still putting goodness into the grid, as long as you're doing it with no condition attached. I think I made a joke about my mom on the first one when she used to say years ago, you know, Suzanne, so-and-so's sick, pray for her to get better. And I would say no. And she would get so angry and frustrated as a mom. She'd go, what do you mean no? And I'd say, I will pray for them for their highest and best good, but I would never pray for them to get better, because that's not for me to do. And she's finally getting that after all of these years. So that's what I mean. If you're doing a God in a different package with prayer, great, as long as there's nothing attached to it in terms of your own personal growth. And I think that this is really completely important. So it is really important for us to know that the biggest keys are here: my personal sovereignty, my personal freedom, my personal auric field. It needs to, in my opinion, be clean, and it needs to be able to hold a high frequency. This is why we talk so much about we're changing as a human body from from carbon to crystalline. I went over that a little bit in the first video. This is a tough concept for people because our cell structure, our DNA, is a carbon-based DNA, but it is changing. This is why the negative agenda wants our blood. And I mean this vampirically, and I mean it to sound a little bit scary, because we need to wake up. They literally use our blood because our genetics are changing. We are an incredibly beautiful design. We are something made out of light, love, and free will. And that is nothing that the negative agenda wants. They want to be able to control everything. They want to be able to use artificial intelligence. They want to be able to implant with chips, with metals. We have been showered and sprayed with metals in our food, in our chemtrails, in our vaccines, and in our teeth, for God's sakes, in our fillings. In everything we have is completely meddling our entire frequency. So therefore, we can't find that high frequency of love and light. So be diligent if you choose, and start to do some studying and open the conversation with people that have maybe more information than you. And don't believe everything if you don't want to, and don't believe anything if you don't want to. But please be aware that these bodies have been chewed up and spit out for eons, and it is time for us to stand up and say no. And that's what this rage is about. This enragement is about taking back sovereignty. When we take back sovereignty here, the reason why this is so critical right now is actually this. We not only as a human race suck and are falling to pieces, but our planet is at risk. Our actual planet itself has been hijacked and taken over for eons. And this is against some of the story that this great awakening hopefully will start to shed some light on. There is some great videos out there on the so-called truth of humanity. And it isn't what you think it is. We aren't just the Big Bang, and we aren't a bunch of monkeys. There is off-planet things involved. There is alien light people involved. There has always been alien light people and star people involved. Look at the natives, study the ancients. that has always been there. It's in the Bible, if you would read the Bible correctly. There is messaging everywhere. This is so completely important for us to wake up and see that this messaging has been in front of us all along, but it is all distorted, it is inverted, and it is programmed. And it is up to us through this awakening to absolutely, if we choose, jump on board. And again, you don't have to. You can stay in that 3D version over here because those 5D versions are coming on fast and strong, and there's way more of it. You're not going anywhere if you're here other than eventually doing a phase out program, and it isn't tomorrow. So don't feel like, oh my God, I'm so worried. What if my family isn't all, oh my God, my kids are in 3D and I'm in 5D, they're all going to die. That isn't what this means at all. What that means is they're going to have more angst. They're going to have more health problems. They are going to have more symptoms. They are going to feel differently about things, etc. So they're not going anywhere. Their experiences are different. So why we want to make this imperative move now is the planet. The planet is also our best friend in making this imperative move. And this situation of being brought back into ourselves, I went over it a bit in the first video, but what it is we're missing the biggest key, and the biggest key is nature. The biggest key is who we signed on for, which is Mother Earth. We signed on to be a guardian, for God's sakes, of the planet. And nobody takes that seriously. And this is the time that we need to be out there recognizing what the hell is happening to our planet. And we need to be absolutely 100% reactivating our psychic skills to be able to reactivate the psychic skills of the planet, which means the root system of our plants and our animals, the actual communications. I mean, I'm not kidding when you can stop and start to understand that bird squawking up there actually has something to say. Just the other night, I'm sitting out at the fire and I'm like so amazed how this shit works, because I'm sitting out at the fire, got a glass of wine, having this really great, bonding moment with the fire. And I'm hearing caw, 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 the huge blackbird. Rah, rah, and I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, what do you want? And I look up at the blackbird who's driving me crazy, huge bald eagle right above my head, which is one of my totems, probably makes everybody happy, but one of my totems that I work with, right smack above my head. Now, would Suzanne have seen that if the caw wouldn't have said, hey, 4 or 5 years ago, I would have thought, shut up, you dumb bird. I hate that sound. Now I'm like, what are you trying to tell me? And I look around. This is that relationship, and it's fun, and it's synchronistic, and it's childlike, and it's joyful if you let it be. These signs and these things are everywhere. They're around us all day long. This ability to become more multidimensional is a gift, and it isn't easy. I'm going to tell you, it sucks. I've been, like you see, been having a really hard time having these vibrations come through. I have been working in Peru for the last 6 years with shamans who are so in line with nature. They are so high. They are so pure. They are so beautiful that you stand next to them. And a lot of people on the sidebar have been to Peru with me. You stand next to them and you go, your heart, you cry. You just cry, and you cry all through Peru. Because why? Because the genuine love frequency is so high that these ridiculous human meat bodies can't take it. We go through these waves of, and then what do? Oh my God, I feel so stupid. I'm not going to cry right now. And we shut it off instead of raising our frequency to enjoy that. So it's not easy. This ascension process is very difficult on the meat and the bone body. I, again, will say, go back and look at those ascension symptoms and read my blog from day one on the ascension process, because this is very real and it is taxing. And it isn't all that fun. And the dark night of the soul people sucks, because I've done it and I've done it again and I've done it again. And this purging and this not being able to understand how really scared we are is not fun work. But boy, oh boy, when we get through it, it's amazing to feel a difference in your frequency and in your light body. It is what we are here to do. We have signed on for the ascension process, and this is about owning that. And we don't get out of this. We will do it one way or the other. We'll either do it in 3D or 5D. And I'm here to say the 5D for me has been freaking crazy shit. I mean, like ridiculous rememberings, scary. And again, thank you to all of those that are online here that help me with this, not to think I'm insane, because when you start to remember things from off planet or other lifetimes, it's a mind blower. And I'm not saying we're all going to awaken to our starseed selves, because a lot of you won't even choose to do that. And that's fine. That's fine. And you don't need to. But there are some of us that are placed here to do that work. And I'm sick and tired of feeling like I'm nuts. And I think it's awesome that I have at least a bit of a tribe that is honoring the fact that for whatever reason, Suzanne Brain knows how to go out into multi-universes and change shit. And I have seen things that nobody else has seen, and it doesn't make me cool. It makes me kind of freaked out sometimes. And this is real stuff. Just because we don't know it or experience it or validate it doesn't mean that it's not real. So when you're having dreams, they're not necessarily dreams. When you're having visitations, they're not necessarily dreams. When you're having things happen and experiences that are crazy, read my blog on the Ascension, because it's happening all over the world. And I am here to tell you that this is a great and awesome thing, but it can be lonely. It can be scary, just like COVID. So there's so much crossover with this stuff that I wanted to really help you to understand that there's massive streams of consciousness coming in right now. There's massive light body beings coming in right now. It's mostly in plasma and in light. So we don't necessarily have the mothership landing in the backyard, but wouldn't that be a kick in the ass? But this is plasma light that is coming into our universes from very many places. And this is happening on our planet and in our bodies. And this is really important for us because we are absolutely being affected by this. And most of us are scared because we don't have the knowledge. So again, what I want to say is this is so important for us to honor the fact that you chose, from a soul's perspective, to come here at a very, very interesting and difficult time. You chose to align with things like mass destruction of everything that you thought was safe and real in your life. And I want, if you choose, to look at that as a great, beautiful thing. When all of our world starts to look like it's all fucked up and falling apart, that actually means like it's a little kid with a block structure that just came in and goes, I don't like that one. I got these pretty blocks and I'm going to use these. It's jumping from 3 to 5 because we get to, not because things are being taken away from us. So when our liberties and our freedoms are feeling like they're taken away, my goal for you is to possibly go back and revisit things like this and start to do your own Akashic work or your own individualized work, and taking this to a meat body level to say, what the heck am I putting into this grid on behalf of me and everybody else to either support this or to drag this down? Because I'm telling you, those people that are behind the scenes, that are in the shadows, they're not giving up. And it doesn't mean that we have to be scared. It means that we have to be diligent if we choose to. It's seeing things. It's being aware of things. But first and foremost, it's declaring, it's declaration of no longer. It's that rage that the gods have given us again in terms of this hologram. And please, please, please understand the difference between rage and fear, because this is not about the fear mechanism of retribution and getting back. And that's not justice. Justice is absolutely balanced in the law of love and the law of cause and effect. I highly suggest, if you want to learn more about this stuff, is really go back. I think Mary Zahorsky is on here. Mary, if you're on there still and you would put that book on the sidebar that we have talked about and worked with so many times, that have the laws of the universe. It's a wonderful, beautiful book. It's short, it's easy. It's a great read. It talks about the actual laws, not just the law of one, and not just like even the law of attraction and the law of cause and effect. It's the actual laws of the universe. It is actually how energy works in terms of how things are created. And we think we need to be in control of everything down here because this is part of our programming. We have been egoically pushed to be in charge of everything, to be the one, to be the savior. It's an archetype that messes with us, because if we want to be the one, if we want to be the savior, we aren't being saved by our bigger and higher self. And we will find that book and we'll put it on the blog post. If it doesn't come up on the sidebar, I'll find it for you because I do have that somewhere. But it explains the actual universal laws of how our creational reality works. And a lot of them are the laws of polarity, which we deal with every day, good and bad. We have to have bad because we have to have good. Thank you. It's the Kabbalion. Thank you on the side. You can write that down if you're making notes. We have to have dark if there's light. We have to have light if there's dark. So let's stop trying to make everything be the same. And we can honor the fact that, yeah, evil gets to be here, but it certainly doesn't have to play in my sandbox. It has the laws of one, which is really what this is all about, is aligning us as one. This is one of the biggest laws there is. This is super important for us to know that God is not separate from us either. We are God and we are of God. We all collectively create that. So yes, we hold that within. So this is really important for us to remember that. The law of cause and effect and karma is very, very important for us so that we can stop being so individualistic and egoic on what we want to have happen to somebody else because we're pissed. And this is one of the most important ones that we want to work with right now. We also want to go back to that empathing. Be very clear. I don't want to empath somebody else because it is a backwards, screwed up way of having emotion and energy robbed from somebody. When I'm actually trying to help somebody or change somebody or make them understand or do it my way, in essence, what I am doing is I'm saying, I feel better when you're different. I feel better when you're different. So would you please be different because I want to feel better? That's the actuality of what happens when we empathically get in each other's places and spaces. So we need to, if we choose, go into these spaces and start to understand, oh, okay, I don't have to be in this false savior thing. Let the savior be way up here and let us do that work so we can all take advantage of it. Be the savior right here within your own little space, because that sandbox is going to go out throughout the circuitry. And be the savior of the planet by being grateful and being attached and being part of it. This is so easy again that it's almost ridiculous. Okay, there was one more thing. Oh, I want to be very clear that when we get to these places and spaces of the government opening us up again and getting back to normal, I can't wait for things to get back to normal. This is probably going to be one of the most detrimental swings that we have if we're not careful, because getting back to normal will get us on that hamster wheel once again. And those, by God, controllers are like, yeah, baby, get back on that, 80-hour week because you're not going to go into nature. Get back on that hamster wheel and being that asshole boss because you're going to lose that sovereignty, and it's all going to go back with the pendulum swing really crazy if we allow it. This is when we want to declare no. We want to get educated during these last weeks before the so-called floodgates open again, because what will happen? Gaslighting. And I put up an awesome, excellent interview that I only forwarded on Facebook recently about gaslighting and what's coming. So gaslighting is when somebody or something makes me think that I was nuts, that I made that up, that it wasn't real. And this is exactly what's going to happen very quickly on the heels of opening up and getting normal. We're going to start to think, holy shit, did I make that up? I mean, trust me, people, when I do my multidimensional work and I'm out there in the craziness of stuff that nobody can understand except me, and then I come back into this human meat body and I'm a normal mom in White Bear Lake, I also think I have lost my flipping mind. And I have taken a lot of years to own the fact that no, I have not lost my mind. This is actual work that I do, and I have always done it, and I came here to do it, and I know it, and I don't have to explain it. I don't have to prove it. So it's this going in that body into that body of reality. It's a consciousness shift. And it's very, very difficult to stay sane with that. And I'm telling you, this is very, very real for all of us. Maybe yours isn't going from multidimensional realities into being this meat body, but it's certainly going from, an esoteric, I bonded with my kids, I found creativity and wonder and less anxiety, to holy shit, I'm back at work working 60 hours a week and I don't even know what fucking happened. That's what I'm talking about. So then I start to think maybe COVID wasn't real. Maybe, oh my God, maybe pleasure and joy wasn't real. Maybe, oh my God, maybe oneness with my children and taking time to really see their cute faces wasn't real. We're going to start to think we're crazy and that we made this all up in very many minute ways. And this is what's going to actually extinguish the joy that is igniting in all of us right now if we let it. So this opportunity is something that I really throw out to you to be very diligent about and to be very serious about, that this gaslighting stuff is real, because it's going to happen on higher levels. This is going to happen when all the stats come in and this wasn't real, or that disease wasn't, or this really happened, or that really didn't, and now you have to do this way. We're going to start to think, wait a minute, did that really do that the way we thought that happened? This is when we become programmable again. So be aware, be diligent, and choose how you want to see programming. I got maybe about maybe not even 10 minutes. I would like to ask Kelsey if you want to pop up any question that maybe seemed really critical before we stop over there on the sideline. And I will see if I can maybe just make a comment back on that before we're done, if that works for you, Kelsey. I don't even know if you're still on. Because I will go through them. She was kind enough to actually combine them and put them together. And I did post some on the blog last time because there was some questions that were really good. And I know that this is a lot to process. Again, I tell people, please, if you choose to, listen to it more than once. And don't take what I'm saying for your truth. Use your meat body and allow your meat body to relax into it and maybe listen 2 or 3 times. Throw out what doesn't resonate, grab what does, and have some fun with it. Basically speaking, I think what I have learned over the last years of doing all of this work is it's really, really, really hard work. It's really hard work. And at the very same time, it's really, really easy work. And it's so easy that we make it the other kind of hard work, meaning it's hard to go into your dark soul. It's hard to go into your fears. It's hard to be vulnerable and let people see you. And then it's so easy to just love. It's so easy to forget, not forgive. It's so easy to find compassion. And it's hard to do the forgiving. It's hard to do the letting go. It's hard to do all those things. So the pendulum swings back and forth. Why? Because again, we're in this dualistic thing. And it's very difficult for us to find that balance. It's called the 0 point. Elaborate on 5G. Yeah, okay, this is one of those hot buttons for me because I work out here. I believe 5G is part of the big conspiracy, and you can take this or leave this. I fight with my kid on this one all the time. I was actually at the cabin with my family, and we did not know about the launch of the 5G satellites because did anybody? No. Because did they say anything? No. Did they tell us before it happened? No. We thought for sure we saw the mothership. It was the most fascinating thing to see. We were literally staring in the sky going, holy crap, that's the freaking mothership, because we didn't have context. My one son jumped online and figured out what it was because it was actually online, but nothing was sent out prior. So none of us knew what was happening with a 5G launch. Again, no freedom, no education, no letting us know, just happening to us. And this is launched at least 3 times, if I'm not mistaken, all over the world. The towers are going up with nobody knowing. 5G has not been tested. We know for a fact that it does things to our frequency and our vibration, all on behalf of, oh, everything's faster. So me as an energy practitioner and somebody that works out there, hell no, this is one of the most destructive things on behalf of technology that is destroying our absolute ascension process. This is another net. To me, this is a net that is shutting us down, and it is trying very, very hard to shut us down in terms of not allowing the benevolent light to come in. That said, I think our benevolent help is very much more in alignment now and microscopically able to. However, this is another effort, in my opinion, from the dark forces to be able to shut us down and make us even more interdependent on technology. Yes, technology is great, but there's a fine line of us not turning into robotics by putting more vaccines in us, more metals in us, microchipping us, for God's sakes. Microchipping us? Are you kidding me? I mean, this is already so far escalated beyond what we even know if you're not studying, that it is turning into a Marvel movie right under your nose. And if we don't say no and stand up for our rights, this is ridiculous. So this is very real. So what can we do about that right now? We can be diligent, we can be humans, and we can say no. And we can fight for our rights, and we can be vocal, and we can start talking about it, and we can jump into these movies, and we can share. It's really important for us to find that inner rage and do it in the right productive way to find justice. Remember the scales, law of love, law of cause and effect. The cause and effect of 5G is detrimental to not only our health, but our planet itself. And nothing has proved something other than that has been given freely to the public before they made that choice. So we are seeing a lot of undercurrents starting to erode some of those things. And I think some of the disclosure on 5G is coming out, but I think that there's a lot more that needs to be said. So yeah, I think we need to start screaming. If anybody else, I think I've got about 6 minutes. If anybody else has a question, I'll try to jump on it on the sidebar there. But I think that definitely 5G to me as a practitioner, I see what it does is it bothers people's noses, it bothers people's ears, it bothers people's jaws. It's an itching, it's a frequency in here, it's our sinuses are all plugged up, it's our third eye is plugged up. Basically speaking, what 5G is trying to do is it is trying to block the pineal gland, which is again our psychic senses to our higher self. What happens with the ego during this ascension process? Is there still ego in 5D? Yes, that's a great question. There has to be ego, but it's a balanced ego. There has to be an ego in every single solitary humanness of us, because we are an individualized container of Christ, not Christ, of God source. We are a container of God source that has to have an individualized creational perspective and experience. So yes, there is still an ego. That said, the ego works in love versus fear. The ego works in service to self first, so that our container is filled with love, and then it works in service to others as kind of a cooperation. So that's the difference. Whereas a 3D ego, service to self, period. Working in fear, period. So, and we jump between 4. So I want you to know, not everybody that is doing this process will always be in either 3 or in 5, because they're interpenetrating all the time through 4. 4 is the bridge, and in our body, by the way, that's the heart chakra. So 5 is up here in our spiritual selves, 3 is down here in our physical selves, and this bridge is 4, where we jump between. So we are, again, a micro version of that macro. So yes, we're always going to be doing this through that dream state, through that whole astral plane. This is why it's so difficult, because why? In the astral plane is where the program is. The astral plane is right here. The astral plane is part of collective consciousness. So we need to be very diligent in going, is this my reality? Is this my real? And the best way we do that is stay grounded and bubbled and discerning. So this is the 3 things: ground, bubble, discern. Okay. Okay. How do we bring all the work we've done into a conscious level so we are aware of the next level and the next step? I think it's gratitude, and I think it's owning your work. A lot of times I find as a practitioner with many, many clients who I'm so thankful for all these years, I'm always saying, own your work, own your work. I just did it to somebody the other day. To me, it's fascinating to watch people go from, being obsessed in their 3D world and their work, and oh my God, I have to have this job and this promotion, to these elevated souls that are doing work on behalf of the all. And it's owning that work. It's absolutely bringing that into the body and owning it with no ego attached to humbleness. We have every right to tell people that, yeah, you know what? I mean, I had a fight with my girlfriend one night because she said, you don't understand. My life is full of stress. And I said, mine is too, but I just don't do it the same way you do. And it wasn't judging her. It just is, I choose to do something differently. I choose to do something differently. I've said that to my siblings. I've said that to my work people. I've said, I choose to do something differently. It doesn't make me better. It just makes a different choice. So make a different choice and then own that choice, because you do get to own your work. So this is really important. With all the inoculations we get yearly, do we know that we have not already been microchipped? I don't know that, to tell you the truth, and I don't have any idea. And I wasn't really fond of vaccines even when I had children, but now with this work and all of my work over the years here, I'm really leaning towards this is very much an infringement on just my body. I remember when I went to get a shot to go to Peru, and I was horrified because I could feel the frequency difference. This was the first time I was a meat body, and I had an injection in my arm, and I could literally feel the frequency difference going through my body, and I was horrified, and I changed my mind completely on anything going into my body at that point. Now, that said, I allowed that into my body because I was going to Peru and I was going to the jungle. So I turned around and did a frequency upgrade on what went into my body. I, with intention, went in and changed my own frequency so it could align with this medicine on a higher level. We can do this with chemotherapies, radiations, all kinds of things for cancer, meds. We can change our frequencies of things. So my suggestion is to anybody that feels like they're already chipped or too inoculated or too out of whack, change it with frequency, meaning do the work in your telepathic mind and heart to say, yes, I have these in me, but I am going to find a different frequency. It's about intention. And I think that we can do that. That's very, very important. For people that are on massive drugs, I try to tell my husband that, bless your drugs, pray over your drugs. And I'm not kidding. I think this is critical in terms of not allowing that to happen, if that makes some sense. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I just wanted to do this really quickly. I am going to stop that for a second because I think I'm down to like the last 2 minutes. If everybody just wants to take a really big cleansing breath, and you can close your eyes if you want to. I think tone is so beautiful, and this is helpful for this. We can change frequencies even of maybe our 5 Gs by toning. And I just want you to sit with this. I want you to take it in as love and light. So again, as that starts to tone down, I really appreciate everybody's time. I know 2 hours out of your night is a lot. I appreciate it. If you choose to share this with somebody, go for it. It's great. We'll try to put it on the blog and on Facebook. I'm not saying I have all the answers by any means, but at least it starts the conversation and it gives you some ideas. If you do have questions further, please send them to me or Kelsey on the website or on the forums from Vibe. For you Vibe people, I will be back by the end of the month. For anybody that wants more information on Vibe or wants to jump on it, which I hope that you do because we keep this momentum on a monthly basis, please look into it because for the price, it's a hell of a good deal. And I wish you all the luck and the light, and I hope you keep working, and I hope you stay diligent if you choose. And until then, cosmic hugs, everybody. Thank you.